Right, so you're going to use this video to fill in your notes on order of operations that have been added to your notebook. You're going to have some examples. Just remember, anytime you need to take a second, you can pause the video, or if you need to look back at something, you can rewind the video. Or if you feel like you have got the information and you just need to fast forward to get to the next part, you can do that. So just remember what the videos can do that maybe you can't ask your teacher to do on a normal basis. So you can pause if you need to. Okay, so on page 5, you have this power, and we're going to fill this in with our order of operations. So first off, when I say order of operations, what I'm really meaning is the correct order that we're going to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, so that when we're looking at different problems, we're all ending up talking about the same answer. If different people pick the different order to go in, they may get different values in the end. So the order you guys are familiar with, we're going to fill in here. For order of operations, we're going to fill in PEMDAS. And we're going to fill it in this pyramid because the order we're going to go in is we're going to follow down this pyramid. So this, anything I'm writing on the screen, you should be adding to your notebook. This is the correct order of our operations. Now we're going to add some extra information in here. And I'm going to change color just to add that extra information in. And if you want to, that's fine. But what you're going to do when we talk about the first step, when we're doing order of operations, P, we know, stands for parentheses. Now, parentheses, we're going to add a little bit of extra information in here. What's kind of confusing about this is parentheses doesn't just mean parentheses. It actually means any kind of grouping symbols. Some of these we're going to see now, and some of these we may see a little bit later. But grouping symbols could include parentheses. They could include different types of brackets. Excuse me. Grouping symbols could also be grouping symbols that are invisible to what you see. And one place I'm thinking of is in a fraction, you actually have grouping symbols around the numerator, and so I'm going to put these as dashed because it's like you want to kind of think of them or add them in yourself. They're not necessarily going to be there, but they're grouping symbols around the numerator and denominator of fractions. So if it was something like 2 plus 4 over 3, there's actually these invisible grouping symbols around the numerator that tell you that that's where you should focus your energy first. Second place we want to go, once we've taken care of, once we've taken care of the grouping symbols, is we want to go to exponents. Now, again, there's more to it than just, okay, start doing exponents. Exponents can also include roots. So exponents are powers like, I'm going to add on here, second power, third power, but roots could be something like a square root. All of those would take kind of second priority in your list. So grouping symbols are first, and then we look at exponents, which roots, square roots, for you guys are considered to be in the same priority level. Okay, next comes M is for multiplication. Oops, multiplication. And D is for division. Notice these are on the same level. What a lot of people think when they see PEMDAS is that M comes first, so multiplication first, and then D, division second. And that's not how it works. What we want to do is actually, and I'm going to change here, what we actually want to do when we're doing multiplication and division is we want to work from the left side of our problem to the right side of our problem. So we're always going to go left to right for multiplication and division. So division could happen first. They have the same level of priority, so we just look from the left side to the right side. Now, one thing that I want to add in here, just as an extra piece, sometimes when we're looking at multiplication, and I'm going to put an arrow here and an arrow here, sometimes when we're looking at parentheses, parentheses aren't actually doing any grouping. Parentheses actually, just like if I wrote 4 parentheses 3, are a way to not group things, but it's actually a way to show multiplication. So one thing to be cautious, and so I'm going to put caution, parentheses may only indicate multiplication. You have to watch out for that because sometimes people forget about the fact that multiplication comes may be indicated and not that the parentheses are actually grouping something. So that parentheses is just showing multiplication right here. It's not actually grouping anything. But the last priority, once we've finished parentheses, exponents or roots, multiplication, division, are addition and subtraction. And like multiplication and division, notice they're on the same level. So that means I'm going to bring my arrow back in, and I'm going to go, when it comes to addition and subtraction, again, I'm going to go from the left side to the right side. So let's try a couple of examples. And how I'll set up the examples is, I'm going to go through the first one and ask you to kind of follow along, and then you're going to try other ones on your own. So if I think about PEMDAS, now I'm going to write it like I just had that pyramid there. My first priority to look at is parentheses. And I'm going to kind of check them off as I go. Now, okay, let's look at these parentheses here. Here's a set of parentheses around the 5. Now, are these parentheses grouping something together, or are they showing multiplication? The answer in this case is there's only a 5 inside the parentheses. So this parentheses is actually only showing, and I'm just going to add the symbol in there, is actually only showing multiplication. So if I look at parentheses and I don't see anything grouped together, I don't see any brackets, then I'm going to go ahead and mark this off. The second thing I'm going to do is E for exponents. So that's next. So I see a 2 to the 3rd power. What does 2 to the 3rd power mean? It means 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little easier on myself. And I want you guys to make sure you're showing your work. I'm going to highlight any step that I do. So the first step I do, in this case, is the first one I have a chance to do is exponent. So from this 2 to the 3rd power, I get an 8. I'm going to rewrite everything else in the problem. 4 times 5 minus 8. All right, next priority. So I did exponents. Next priority is multiplication and division on the same level. So I'm going to go from left side to right side and look for any multiplication or division. Moving from the left to right, first operation I see is addition. So that's not what I want to do. This next operation, left to right, I see some multiplication. So I'm going to do that problem. That gives me 20. Now I'm going to write the rest of what I haven't highlighted here. I have 7 plus 20 minus 8. Looking left to right, I don't see any more multiplication or division, so I'm done with that step. All right, addition, subtraction is our last group. So how do I do addition, subtraction? Not addition first, subtraction left. I go from the left side to the right side. So from left to right, I see 7 and 20. So that's 27, and 27 minus 8 gives me 19. So if everyone follows the order of operations, everybody should get to 19 as their answer. So check that off that I did all of the operations. If you only have one operation left, just go ahead and complete it. So all we have is subtraction left. Okay, so that was my I do. So I showed you kind of how to think through a problem. Now you're going to try this problem on your own. Now if you need help, you can always look at my work here, but you're going to pause the video. I'd like you to try to pause the video here and try it on your own. So if you are ready to go or you need some help, again, start with your PEMDAS idea here. And we're going to start with parentheses. When I look at the parentheses here, the 5 minus 2 inside of parentheses, these are being grouped together. So even though subtraction is on my lower end of my priorities, because this is in parentheses, I'm going to first go ahead and complete this. So 5 minus 2 gives me 3. So I get 3 from this, and I'm going to copy the other pieces of information along down the page. Okay, so notice I did keep the parentheses there because not only the parentheses telling me that the 5 and 2 were grouped together, but they're also going to tell me what operation is going on right here. So parentheses is done because I've gotten the everything kind of condensed inside the parentheses. I simplified what was inside the parentheses. Next comes exponents. Do I see any exponents? 14 divided by 2 plus 4 times, nope, no exponents, so I'm just going to check it off. Don't forget to look, even if you don't have that operation, look through it. Okay, next priority, multiplication and division from left side to right side. So starting on the left here, I have a division problem. 14 divided by 2 gives me 7 plus 4 parentheses 3. All right. Looking left to right, do I have any more multiplication or division? Well, this parentheses tells me that 4 and 3 are going to be multiplied. So I have 7 plus 4 and 3 gives me 12. So my last step, so that's all my multiplication or division. My last step is look at addition, subtraction, and that's the last operation I have. And oh, my answer happens to be, again, a 19. So highlighting the steps I do, notice I'm doing one step at a time, and I'm rewriting the problem, the parts that I haven't done yet, so that I can keep track of what's been done and what has not. Showing your work is going to be important. All right, here's another you do. So pause it and try it on your own. Looking at PEMDAS, parentheses first. I'm going to highlight. Parentheses first tells me to look right here, 5 minus 3. So I'm going to write the rest of the problem. 64 divided by 8 times, and inside the parentheses here I get a 2 plus 5. So I completed the parentheses. Exponents, I don't see any exponents, so I must be done. Next priority, multiplication division, left side to right side. So the first place I encounter multiplication or division is 64 divided by 8. 64 divided by 8 gives me, from this, I get an 8. I'm going to copy down everything that is not highlighted. Multiplication or division, still on that priority level. Now I have some multiplication here. So that gives me 16 plus 6. Done with multiplication division. Last step, addition or subtraction. So I have 16 plus 6, which gives me 22. So there's my final answer. All right, last one that's a regular you do. Oh, that's not right. If you see a 40 here, this should be a 70. So sorry about that. All right, so pause this and try it on your own. But if you're ready to go, or you need some help on where to start, let's start with parentheses. So we're going to start with 70 minus 60 inside the parentheses. So let me go ahead and highlight that to show that we're going to take care of what's inside the parentheses. What's grouped together is what we're going to take care of first. So grouped together, I have 70 minus 60, which gives me 10. I'm going to copy everything else back down, including the parentheses. So 32 divided by 4 plus 10. Looking inside the parentheses again, I can't do anything with the 10. I'm just looking to see if there are any operations that were grouped together by parentheses. Okay, exponents. No exponents, so we can check that off. Multiplication, division. Okay, this is where you got to be careful. Left side to right side. There's our first instance of multiplication or division. Gives me 8 plus 10 divided by 2. Next instance is on the right side here, and I have 10 divided by 2, which leaves me with 8 plus 5, addition, subtraction, answer is 13. There's one more problem, a challenge problem. I'd like you to try it on your own and check the answer with a teacher.